pull out. Okay, I think we're away. Now, I wanted to just quickly update this. How you guys going?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Yeah. Had 2 MPI inspections today, so that was good.
Oh, cool.
One was a D-van for rehow.
Oh, yep.
Just happened to be half of it bloody straight, so that was fun.
What do you mean?
So they have the 5 meter long
Oh,
pipes.
yeah.
That was half the container, so it takes like twice as long.
Oh, right.
That was a pain. But yeah, other than that, going pretty well. Drastic drop off in trade tested though.
Really?
Yeah.
As of when?
As of probably middle to start of last week.
Huh.
Like I walked in this morning. Usually after the weekend, you'd see maybe minimum probably 600 orders like sitting there ready to go.
Yeah.
150.
Shit. What do you?
And they actually gave us. I don't know if they're trying to like show us what's happening and stuff from their side, but like they showed us like engagement percentages and stuff. And everything's down.
What are they putting it down to?
They haven't gone that much into depth. Whether they do that with our monthly meeting next week, I don't know. But they were quite kind of around this time last year for a little bit. But from memory, it wasn't as drastic as like over a week.
Because they've been cranking through January. Yeah. Like, I was shocked to see how busy we were.
Like it's been, yeah. To be fair, it's been flat out. Whether it's people not wanting to spend just because they think they know what's coming, or what, I don't know. I know they'll do a sale or whatever just to get the numbers back up, but the sales just hide the issue, really, don't they?
Well, part of life.
Yeah.
How are you guys going? How's Hutchies?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Pretty still for a while.
Yeah.
Cleaning up the last opportunities.
How are you going with the picking algorithm?
That's still in dance. So we've basically asked them how we want it. He needs to work through and get it running so that we don't blow FIFO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need me to bang heads? I've kind of.
He's in Melbourne for the week.
Oh my God.
So we were trying to get as much into him as we could.
Yeah, right.
So we had that session on Wednesday.
Okay.
And he's got the list of how we want the flow to go.
Yep.
Just when he releases it.
Okay.
But at the moment, we've just turned everything off, picking from people. So picking from everything, pretty much.
But it's still following FIFO. It's just not doing pick faces.
Yeah, we just turned everything off.
Shit.
Yeah.
That'll be ineffective.
I mean,
at least you're keeping FIFO.
At least we're keeping FIFO.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the biggest concern is once it flows FIFO, and then one other thing I picked up that whole Mike was containers coming in with product. It's got an early expiry than the ones that come in stock, and it's like weird. Like, hey, I've never seen that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like,
huh?
We've got later stock currently in stock. They come in what shipment was, but I just looked at one. I looked at the stock on hand, and I was looking at the expiry.
Which means the supplier's not moving.
Yeah. So
oops.
But I'll try to find it and send it to Mike so he can raise it from.
Yeah. Best thing is to document it all, just so there's no fallback on you guys.
Here's some quick feedback from Ron. He's the top dog at Hutchies.
Oh yeah.
Dropped this in the other day. So that's really positive feedback.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Well done, guys. They were nervous as. And Zandria still is. She staked her career on us.
Yeah, once we get the FIFO sorted, yes.
We'll be humming. Yeah. Oh, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. Okay, let's hook into we should probably do a little bit of review. What are you guys using in the real world with some of the stuff that you're picking up through this training?
In terms of like
anything
real world at work or just outside of work? Or?
Well, yeah, at work.
For me, like the biggest thing was like what I'd lacked. I think you said you did as well, was the inspect what you expect. Like that was one of my faults, especially throughout last year with it being a little bit quieter. Like I just expected people to, because they're not having to rush off their feet, they'd get it done, and then lo and behold, something didn't get done. So I've taken that pretty close to my heart just to make sure I'm doing that.
Save you a lot of pain for future.
100%, yeah, absolutely. So that's probably like within the last maybe month or two. That's like the one key thing I've kind of taken on board.
Cool.
Yeah, and run with it, which has been good.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Kiana?
consistency thing, but I think more so for me, it's kind of keeping it up. Because there will be times where, like, 'cause we get the vendors and stuff, and when I find that I don't do my inspecting, that's when all that that's just getting mixed and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's just trying to stay consistent with inspecting what I'm expecting from them. And then I think even the cognitive dissonance stuff, like, yeah, this guy would probably agree with me, it's like telling our team not to go over on breaks. But now I've got a table tennis at work, so it's just like sometimes we go into the red zone a bit and we're telling our team not to do it. And then here we are a few days near the end of the week and we're in the reds as well. Yeah, so it's just.
How are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, just stop making
Yeah. Yeah.
Just really make us think so.
Oh, that's a shame.
There was a shame. It was really sad.
I was at the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that over you? Two guys over you? I will not understand that.
Probably for me, it's definitely the it's really prevalent. Wow, in my book, but it's I reckon it's widespread. It is a sharpening of the axe. There's honestly not enough training procedures in there.
No, but well, you keep bumping all the training.
I know I do.
You're the root of some of our problems.
And it's because I'm getting sucked into
fixing the fuck ups because the training hasn't been done.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my bulletin board posts, because I don't know the answer to this one. It's always confounded me my whole life. Okay, so I think I've talked about this. You have a business unit, whatever that is. It could be Hutchinson's, it could be Tidal. And so the output of the business unit determines your life, your career, your stress levels, your success, your joy, job satisfaction. There's three things that directly impact the output of a business unit. Do you remember what they are? Did we talk about them? Number one is the quality of people you employ. Number two is the quality of training you give them. And number three is the quality of the leadership you provide. When you get those three things like nailed, you got great people, great training, great leadership. You blow your world apart. It's so good. And like, you guys are amazing. You proved it over Christmas, right? You got great people. You've done a lot of the training and you've set up and you've got great leadership. Whenever I get dragged into a problem, I reverse engineer it. At the bottom of it, there's always one of three things, very, very similar. A lack of training, someone not being managed, and a lack of planning. And the planning comes back to the training, and which is the axe sharpening. And so I think it was early last year, I finally came up with that saying, and it was from Abraham. Lots of people have been cited as being responsible for it, but it was Abraham Lincoln that said, hey, look, 8 hours to chop down trees, the first 5 I'll spend sharpening an axe, because you end up chopping down twice as many. But there is this almost neothandral biological urge just to start swinging. I want to see the orders going down. I want to see the containers being cleared, and of course it just keeps on creating a false sense of security, and you get caught in this trap. And I've seen it happen, and this is for years and years and years. And it's not until people they finally embed the training, and then they train the capability lifts up, and then you pop out the top, and all of a sudden you've got this amazing business unit. And the hardest thing I've ever come across is the response to why someone hasn't done the training, which is, I'm too busy. Oh, what? Is it?
So with the fires that we've been fighting, it's not clearing orders, or it's just little, like the stock rotation like not working and having to be pulled into that. Peter throwing why is this out of rotation? Us having to investigate it and having the right eyes looking at those investigations. And so that's what's pulled off, because you have to get up there and have a look at why it's.
Can you train your people to be the eyes and start problem solving?
Can do, but at this stage, no. Until I write the SOPs.
Yeah, right. It's the circular argument. Have we talked about the training dilemma?
We did.
Do you remember it?
The first one.
All right, someone explain it to me.
Something along the lines. Oh fuck! I'm making it wrong. But anyway, somewhere along the lines of if this is someone's knowledge, no, and you do zero training or no training.
Okay.
I tried.
Oh well, you tried. You did better than us too.
So this is time.
Oh yeah.
Are
you recording this?
Yeah, I am. No, sorry, this is time.
Can you edit the outro?
This is training. This is a reasonable amount of time to go home. This is when we should be going home. What tends to happen is this is when we actually go home. It's unreasonable. In order, I'll go around the long way again. I should sit down. So that's time. Yeah, and this is knowledge, or IP. What does IP stand for?
Intellectual property.
Yeah, cool. What does it mean? It's our know-how.
Yeah.
So IP is our know-how. It's what's different about us. Why should I go to main freight versus SES? We've got better IP. That's actually the reason people come to us.
Is there another word for like IP, but it's like your own personal knowledge that's not written down anywhere? Is there like
that's all IP.
And that is still IP?
It's all knowledge. It's
Yeah.
knowledge. IP is actually a legal term, intellectual property.
Yeah.
And so what should happen, this is our training. This is kind of the reverse, the inverse relationship. The lower the training, the higher the time, because you keep fixing fuck ups, right? What should happen is this.
So initially, because you're taking more time to train, you stay longer.
You've got to take the hit.
Yeah. The
only way you get down to reasonable, the only way you get down here is you actually, where's my training start off? Probably starts off here actually. The only way you get to be, time, I'm fucking, I mean, it's not right. That doesn't make sense at all, does it?
That does.
The inverse is you've got to take the hit on the training in order to go home early.
Yeah.
But no one ever does because they're always too busy. Do your problem solving, do your 5 whys, why you're so busy. Most of the time it'll come down, and not always, 8 times out of 10, 80-20, it'll come down to a lack of training. And training includes things like one of the most critical things, which is planning. If you don't know how to plan, and this was a big shock to me, getting into this mid last year for the first time, and I'm kicking myself, I started peeking under the hood. Show me how you manage your day. Show me what your next week looks like or your month. It's like, how do you manage all your tasks? Oh, really? Oh, Jesus, this is no wonder you're struggling, which was a training issue. I need to give you the actual diagram. It's a lot better than that one. I confused that a little bit. But the idea is the same. So, only 2 ways to run a great business. You either employ great people, and that's kind of where we started off with SES. I think that's a really good example. And fuck, we've still got them with us today, a lot of them. And they made the business great. The problem, what's the problem when you rely on great people? Correct. And they could leave the job, they could leave the role, they could get promoted, move sideways, upwards, whatever. And it's the vacuum they leave behind. And I've seen this happen my whole career in every industry I've ever been in. And so you can kind of limp along and you get this quite jagged sort of business. It's great, it falls off, you recover, you rebuild again, you recover, da-da-da. The best businesses are the ones that support great people with great systems. I should show you what we're doing with Glenn. The health and safety systems now are just like by May, just like 9 out of 10. Like just everything's boxed up. All the forms are done. all the training's done, all the recurring tasks are done. Like nothing can fall through the system anymore. Whereas in the past, you'd have someone who's really good at it. And they'd do a great job while they were here. And then, of course, they'd leave. What the hell? Fuck, I don't know what he did. Do you know what I mean? Now, everything is systemized. And the advantage there is you can then bring in people that don't have the capability, and the system makes up for what they're missing. So you can get lower quality people delivering higher quality outcomes because you've got better systems. And it's better for them, they're more supported, that sort of stuff. What's a dichotomy? What does dichotomy mean? Huh? Okay, it's like an irony. The dichotomy is I don't know, the ocean looks blue, but it's not, it's black. Right? It's blue because it's reflecting the sky. Right? That's a dichotomy. What color is the ocean? Blue. No, it's not actually, it's black. Well, it just doesn't make sense. It's like an irony, it's like an inverse relationship again. The irony, what's I going with that one, is the systems are this is the irony. The irony is systems are critical in every brilliant business unit. Most people don't put their time and money into it. That's the dichotomy. It's like, well, how do you want to get fit and healthy when you're eating takeaways all the time? That's a dichotomy. How do you want to get fit and healthy if you don't go to the gym and eat well? That's a dichotomy, right? Just doesn't fit. So systems. So the second way is you implement great systems and you employ great people. Right? Then you've got nirvana. You've got a brilliant business unit. You've got low stress. You've got high job satisfaction. You've got camaraderie, teamwork, high outputs. In the business sense, you also end up with business reputation. Like in the business world, your reputation is everything. Like we tried getting a salesperson here, but in 23 years, we've basically never had any. And now we're like the 5th largest 3PL in the country, the largest general merchandise 3PL, and the largest B2C 3PL, all through word of mouth. Because customers have a chat with someone, they go, fucking no, they've got this guy, James, he's fucking amazing. Cool, SES. That's how we grow. It's our credibility. The inverse is correct as well. When the orders are shit and the communication's poor, that also goes back into the marketplace because all these business owners, they end up crossing over and talking to one another. So it can build your business or destroy it. Of course, building your business, that impacts your pocket and your career and your family and your houses and blah, blah, blah. So those are the two ways, only two things you can do. Now, this is an interesting conversation. So this is an extract from an email I sent someone a little while ago. A lot of people are quick to throw people under the bus who have failed, but often if you hang in there with them, they end up being worth their weight in gold as the relationship hits a new level of authenticity and value for everyone. That becomes a missed opportunity if you're quick to give up on people. I should take that out. But this was a problem I had. Well, I can tell you this actually because it's basically all dissolved now. Someone and I went to build a digital agency, and we got an enormous amount of energy and it worked brilliantly. But someone and I started having fundamental disagreements on how to run a business, right? How do you engage with your people? And so I said, all right, well, instead of us arguing, I'm just going to step out. You prove me wrong. Over the next 6 months, he destroyed the company. And his attitude was, if you're not good enough, get out. Lots of people, and you would have seen it because you've had a few roles now, lots of people are like that in business because they don't know how to get the good in people and to bring it to the front. And he would do things like try and prove his intelligence to I don't know, ego, A-type personality, look, I'm really smart, you should follow me, whatever, I don't know. And if they didn't catch up, he would give up on them. And so that was the example there. Here's a story I heard when I was in my early 20s. Actually, I read it in a book. A guy works for an investment company. He loses $1 million in a terrible trade, made a number of really dumb decisions, walks into his boss's office the next day and hands his resignation. Boss looks at the envelope and says, oh, what's that? Guy says, well, you've probably heard about it. That's my resignation. I lost the company $1 million yesterday. And it's the right thing to do because I fucked up. So, that's a bad thing. And the boss looks at him and says, well, hold on, let me see if I got this right. I've just spent $1 million training you and now you're leaving. Right? Quite a rare attitude, but in my head, the best one, because pain is our greatest teacher. And if a person you're convinced can learn from their mistakes, then yeah, it's horrible having to suck up the cost. But those are the people that you end up building incredible teams with. People always stuff up, sometimes in a big way. And I don't know the answer to this. How do you know if they're cool, that they're genuine? It's always worth giving them another chance. I'll tell you, I think I've got it on the next slide. Oh yeah, question is, how many chances? This is the biggest thing I have struggled with in my entire life. When is enough enough? When is that's enough chances I need to move on from you? And the problem is when you're a manager, you do tend to become emotionally involved with your people because you care about them, right? And you start learning about their family and their aspirations and their dreams and their fears and that sort of stuff. And so it's very difficult sometimes to give up on people that you've got that emotional connection with. Behavior is really hard to change. It's much harder to change than work skills. One of the only ways behavior can change, ironically, is often to first break down. So this is another concept I came across in my early to mid 20s. To break through, quite often you've got to break down. It's kind of like you've got to dismantle your view of the world and go, actually, I'm so fucking low. It's me. It's my thinking, my philosophies. All right, and then you can start afresh. We talk about this in our wellness courses. Did you do that with Graham? Talks about neuroscience, and we call it burnt pathways, and how we establish a belief system. Actually, I'm going to talk about this a little bit before I'll dive into a little bit. I've always found it absolutely fascinating. I found it fascinating that people can change. I've always found that insane. But some people change real quick. Other people take so long, it's just actually not worth our time to hang in there with them, which I think I'll talk about. So my view is anyone can change, given enough support and time. The question is, how much time do you want to invest? As I get older, that time becomes less and less. Now it's more about, can I put my hand on my heart and honestly say I did what I could do to be right by them? That's kind of my moral compass. Hey, look, I've given this a good shot. I've tried, hasn't worked out. And when I say I tried, I have a prescriptive system and a process now. This is the process up here. We've done the training, we've done the escalations, we've done the gap analysis, we've wrapped the support around you. What's that saying I got brought up with as a teenager? Fuck me once, shame on you. Fuck me twice, shame on me. Do you still have that one? Is that part of your work? You haven't heard that? Yeah, mine was a little bit cruder. Yeah, but so right. Like if first time it's on you. If it happens again, actually, it's on me now.
Do you have the thought process? Like I have the thought process of like the hand on my heart and stuff, but I also have the thought process of I've just spent 6 months trying to help you out. I don't want to then like say see you later because I've just then spent 6 months.
Yeah.
But then you could also have
got to do it. You got to take the hit.
Yeah, but you can also use that 6 months of like your own interpersonal like training, going, okay, well I tried this, it didn't quite work out. Maybe this is where I went wrong as well.
Part of the learning experience. 100%. And it's really tough. And the longer you're with someone, the deeper you get invested. There's a negotiation technique, right? You're trying to negotiate to buy a house or a car or a boat or something, whatever. The longer you're in the negotiation, the more likely you're going to get a deal because the deeper the emotional investment that both the parties have to get an outcome. And so this plays out with people as well. The longer we're with someone, the more we want to see the outcome. But I would counsel you to not fall into that trap. It will, what's it? It's like penny wise, pound foolish. Yeah, have you heard that saying? Penny wise, pound foolish. You're so busy looking after your pennies, you're not seeing the bigger picture, and you're losing out on all the pounds that you could be earning. You're the guy or girl that's going to pay at the end of the day. Person X has put a lot of heart and soul into SCS supporting him. Oh, this was me. Someone, I want to get rid of him. I said, no, but this particular person put a huge amount of effort in. We discovered a large number of infractions, not infractioners.
Yeah, like
not following process or policy, doing stuff wrong. Like hadn't been doing the stock investigations, hadn't been doing the right product, right location, hadn't been doing the PARs. Like a huge number of shit had just fallen over. He was yelling at staff. He had let a lot of the core fundamentals fall over. Policies not being followed. PAT and training had fallen over. And when called out the responses were highly emotional and childlike. He was blaming others for everything, which always happened when you're emotional. Not accepting responsibility for failing to use company policies, which were designed to avoid issues. His actions are created and justified by his immature excuses. If a staff member fails, the very first person we've got to look to blame is ourselves. So this has always been one of my hardest lessons to try and teach my people. If one of your people isn't performing, that's your fault. That's on you. What have we done to let this person down? If we're convinced we've done everything we can to the best of our ability, we've provided a safe environment, we've provided good training, we've provided the systems and tools that they need to do it, and we've given the support, and definition of unwavering support, they're encouraged constantly to use the company policies and acting with SCS's definition of integrity on all requests, which is, what's the definition of integrity at SCS? Do you know what it is? Have you studied that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it. And there's like a back door to it. Yeah, but 100%. So the wording is communicate the breakdown as soon as humanly possible. But yeah, that's exactly right. So if we've done all of that, if we've done our leadership, have we talked about leading from the front side back? And yeah, okay, cool. If you've done that, we pay above average, and we've provided, and these are the two most important policies for me, the put your hand up policy and the escalation policy as a last resort when the above escalation, when put your hand up doesn't work. Then the problem is no longer with us. You can work through a process where that person is longer, and you can, in my view, you go to bed and you sleep straight, and you've done right by your fellow human. When you haven't done that, then you can't do that, and you'll justify till the cows come home why you think the decision was still the right thing to do, but you'll never get your excuses past someone like me, unless there was a serious infraction like bullying or sexual harassment or something like that. So the problem isn't with us as managers. The process is to take them through the performance management process, identify the gaps. Have we talked about gap analysis on PARs yet? Probably haven't. Okay, cool. So do you know what a PAR is? You know what a PAR is? Do you know what a PAR is? Yeah, it's a personal performance agreement review.
Yeah.
And it was designed as a documented agreement between you and the business. And it's like a two-way thing. And it says, hey, look, this is what the business wants from you. What do you need? And part of that, what do you need, is we'll do a gap analysis, and we take you through an assessment, and we try and find out where we can add value. And Maritha would be a good example. Like, she's got some serious confidence problems, right? And that's going to limit her career, because if she can't talk to people, then she won't be able to keep rising up through the management, or start getting into positions where the income gets higher, where you're starting to manage customers. So that would be identified, and then what we do is we'd wrap some training around it. We'll give her support to help her get. So that's the gap analysis. What's missing between where you are and where we need you to get to, that we need to wrap support around. So that's a gap analysis. Potentially adjust the role based on the severity of the infraction. So those are, again, it's, when I say it's pretty prescriptive, what do you think I mean by that?
So it's pretty, you can easily follow like it's not a to-do list, but like you can follow like a script essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. So if I say it this way, it's the opposite of subjective. So what does subjective mean?
Subjective, where you've already got your mind made up on.
It's kind of your thoughts. How you feel about it?
Mm.
Well, there's no system behind that. It's just that you feel a way about something.
Mm.
Whereas prescriptive is like, no, you do this, 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 and that happens. It's like there's no subjective analysis in there. It's like we know what it says. So this is very prescriptive.
Yeah.
You can follow this and part ways with someone, and you've done the right thing. The alternative, subjective, you think, oh, look, I tried my best. I did everything. Like, whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh, really? Everything? What's everything for you? Because like I say, it's nowhere near everything for me. and yeah, it gets so confusing and grey and muddy when people apply subjective reasoning to business decisions, which is why we try to systemize stuff as much as possible. Okay, what else we got here? The question is, how many chances? When I was younger, I'd give them years of chances as I had years to give. As I'm older, I have less and less time. I move people much faster. As soon as I realize I've done everything I can do, more than anyone else I know anyway, it's not my job to do what their parents failed to do. A lot of the problems you'll find with staff are actually fundamental parenting issues, like resilience. Can't come to work because they're upset or they're feeling anxious or something like that. The parents didn't teach them resilience, how to get knocked down multiple times and just to keep up and get going. Risk. This is a real problem in today's society. A lot of the parents are raising very risk-averse children. They're wrapping them up in so much freaking cotton wool. You're not allowed to climb a tree. You can't play bull rush. You can't learn the consequence of actions. And so they're struggling when we're asking them to expand their thinking and their skill set beyond an area where they feel comfortable. They've just been encouraged so much of their life to live in there. They're not used to that feeling of discomfort, which is what is necessary to grow as a human being. It's what you need to grow as an employee. If you want to build your career, there's always going to be things that you have to do that don't feel right. They feel uncomfortable. Did we talk about, we've talked about cognitive dissonance, eh? Mm-hmm. And we did the example where you shake your head. Haven't done that one?
No,
we did that one, yeah. So that feeling is what holds a lot of people back in life. They go, oh, that feeling, wow, that's much better. But everything that we want that we haven't got is on the other side of that feeling. And so what I'm saying here, it's not our jobs to teach people what their parents didn't do. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's people that are, fuck no, you're worth it. I'm going to spend my time and help you through this, and we'll get there. But if you get to a point where it's just getting so hard with someone because of these fundamental issues, that's not on you. I know human decency, respect, stress management, leadership, effective conflict management, and strategies required of adults. Ideally, as a mature adult, they will have accepted responsibility for their lives and of their own accord, and invested their own time and money learning their skills. This is something I just encourage anyone I ever come across to do. Like, your life is incredibly precious. It's the most precious thing known in the universe. And you have this incredible thing called a body, an incredible thing called a brain, and you have this incredible thing called a world that you get to live and experience. What is frustrating to me is how few people try to maximize that and learn, well, how can I be the best? How can I learn to have the best life for me and my family and all that sort of stuff? I always raise an eyebrow when I come across someone who's spent their own time and money investing in their own development. They've started to learn how to deal with anxiety. They've started to learn how to deal with confidence. They've started to learn how to deal with, how do I deal with contentious conversations? They've started to learn with, how do I sell myself into a job? I said, oh my God, yes, someone who's actually honoring their blessing of life, as opposed to so many people nowadays are like this. Well, if you're not going to teach me, I'm not going to do it. So, well, your fucking life, mate, mine. You're the one missing out. And I would encourage you, you'll find, we talked about aptitude versus attitude. Aptitude is your ability to do a thing. Yeah. Attitude is the attitude you bring to do the thing. So I would choose someone, attitude over aptitude, 10 times out of 10. I don't care how much you know. I care what your attitude is to get ahead and help us all achieve our goals together. And so when you find someone who is investing in themselves and like they've got the joke, this is a one-time gig, and it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. Right, well, I better take some responsibility. When you find people like that, man, that's you start building dream teams. Same sort of stuff. Oh, I've just paraphrased all that. I love people who buy books and study, and then they put their thinking into action. It's like you were saying before, when you're not getting good results, it's actually a really great opportunity to figure out what works and what doesn't, right? You're doing it in a live environment. When I decide the final chance has been given is after I've answered yes to those questions above. I've done everything I can. It's quite prescriptive. I've generally tried to support them after a breakdown or a breakthrough. If I can't see the material change after that point, I give up on them. In my experience, going this far, more than any other boss will do for them, I've never seen people do this. Although it's not even that hard when you've got a prescription to follow. It's hard when it's subjective. What's enough? When is enough enough? Well, when it's prescriptive, it's easy. Well, I did that. Okay, I'm done. The children also, I get to sleep easy at night, knowing I tried harder than anyone else, and the problem is now them and beyond my ability to fix. And there will be lots of people you can't fix. Some of the problems are so deep. It doesn't matter what you do, you won't be able to fix it. A lot you will. A lot you'll be able to, give people new opportunities. If I don't provide the second chance, I don't feel right myself. I feel like I've let them down. The world is fucking hard, and most people don't give genuine second chances. So what this is all about is don't be that person. When someone's not performing, first thing is, okay, what have I done to let them down? Second thing is, right, let's make sure I've done all those things. Third thing, right, then it is quit. We used to have another saying for it. I think you mentioned it a little while ago. It's like we had a punchy little saying for it. I think we're later. Awesome, thank you.
That prescriptive, like kind of the prescriptive on slide 4, was it 4?
That one.
Is that kind of like the SLT and the ELT and stuff? Do they kind of follow that, or is that your own?
No, that's my own philosophies.
Yeah.
But we should. We
would
should.
have taken a bit to get to the prescription, though, to build it, because that you've got the same mindset I was thinking. Like, in order to be able to build a prescription against it, you would have had to experience it, and
you have to go through this objective before you get to that point. That's right.
Yeah, and do you know the test when you know you've got it right is you sleep straight. You sleep with a clear conscience. I know if I'm going and I've made a decision, it's bad. My mind's I didn't. No, I should have something. There's something. I've missed something. I've let this person down. I haven't done the right thing until I finally get it. Like what you're doing with your training. Yeah, no, that didn't work. That didn't work. Oh, no, that did work. Okay, right. It's part of me now. Yeah, maybe we should put that up as one of our 5 posters. We kind of do work through that.
It's also like, not that you need to make it like known to the whole, like everyone down to casual team member sort of thing, but it would be quite interesting to see what people's reactions are to, like, a manager or whatever. Like, they can see us losing our cool a little bit, and then they can almost, don't know how many of them would, but almost look at that list and go, well, they did that for me. They did this for me. I'm now down here, and no wonder they're getting pissed off or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Actually, maybe we should.
How many of like the team members would actually look at that?
Well,
we've got here like past excellence and employee. I've got company provides you with quality training to do your job brilliantly. We give you the time and support, and we give you the resources and tools.
Yeah, so that is, yeah.
So it's kind of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like my whole thing with this is, if we're not achieving wealth, health, and happiness, something's gone wrong between you wanting it and not getting it. And a lot of it comes down here. You've got to be part of the solution. So many people, and I don't know, this is a sociological discussion. I hate, and I see it a lot everywhere, more so in South Auckland, is this don't say anything. Keep quiet. And there's like, in certain areas in South Auckland, it's like, snitch end up in a ditch. Like, it is so frowned upon to point out something wrong for fear of reprisal. And so there's this kind of baked in, you're fighting that all the time. And yet the only way you build a brilliant business is you find out what's wrong so you can fix it. One of the challenges I've always found is I talk to people and say, hey, look, tell me what's wrong and I'll fix it. And they all look at me and go, yeah, sure. And then they don't. And then I've had people come to me years later going, fuck, sorry, man, you actually meant it. Yeah. And what I've realized, I'm quite rare like a lot of people don't know how to, I don't know, deal with the complexities around those sort of situations. And so someone says, hey, here's something wrong, and it gets handled really badly. So they go, well, fuck, that was a dumb idea. I'm not doing that again. But I don't know the answer. I just do the same. I just tell me what's wrong, I'll fix it. Tell me what's wrong, I'll fix it. Tell me what's wrong, I'll fix it. And eventually people who know me long enough, they go, okay, no, this is actually very genuine. I would encourage you to do it with your people. I found me being that has built enormous loyalty. I think people crave that standard, that moral fortitude, that moral standard that, oh my God, here's someone that I could follow. This guy is true to his word. And you'll remember me right back from day one, like my integrity was everything to me. If I said I was going to do something, fuck, I'd die rather than not do it. But also, once I realized the definition of integrity, I became very aware of what I was making my commitments to. So stuff I used to say, yeah, I'll do it. I go, fucking, oh, shit, I've got to deliver on that. Come hell or high water. No, I can't give you a commitment. And that would piss some people off because they needed that commitment. Well, I can't give it to you. I can tell you I can give you the promotion, I can pay you more, but honestly, I don't know if I can deliver on it. So it's a tough one. Person X deserves a genuine. This was me convincing the leadership team to give this person another chance. They're at their lowest now. So it's the best opportunity we'll ever have to drive home the issues for their own good. When people break down, I know it sounds awful, I know it sounds terrible, it's the best time to train them. Because it's kind of like there's no fight left in them. Their ideals are losing. They're losing because of their ideals, so they're a lot more open. So okay, all right, well, maybe I should now try something differently. This person's issues were speaking poorly to people, yelling or ignoring them. I've had multiple examples of both now, as disrespectful might be tolerated. If it happens again, this person will lose my support completely. I've actually spoken to the person about this as well. Not following company policies, put your hand up policy, escalation policy. He crossed a line with me when he didn't use them, then claimed to have issues with the supervisor. I don't care what the excuses are if they ignore my policies. I'm really firm on that. I had a senior leader come into my office one day, ranting and raving about someone else in the business that I was super upset with, and this person, I've had enough, I'm going to leave. And I said, oh, this was an amazing person, spent a lot of time with him. And I said, oh, did you use the escalation policy? No, but I said, okay, well, see you later. Don't let the door hit you on the way back. And the person just about fell over. I said, no, you broke the rule. That was the rule. If you follow my rule, I'll back you 100%. But you've said you'll follow it. You signed a contract that said you did it, and then you didn't do it. Now you're just ranting. I can't work with that. How do I work with that? How does that work? Allowing Pat to follow the training, allowing fundamentals to fall over when we've been implemented. When you get out of the story, and we've been through the happiness formula. Have we not done the happiness formula?
I don't think so.
Mo Gawat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Three steps.
Can you revise?
Yeah. So step one, what happened? Is this not ringing a bell?
The name rings a bell, but that didn't just ring a bell.
Oh yeah, well this is the only podcast I've ever recommended anyone that I care about listen to. So I would love you guys to listen to it. It's a big one. It's over an hour. It's the only one I've ever recommended. The story of this guy, he was 29 when he ran Google X. I've not told you this. Shut up, okay. This is awesome. I only came across this last year. A lot of the stuff that I'm teaching you here, this guy summed up in this incredibly simple formula. So Mo Gawat ran Google X when he was 29 years old. Google X is like, it's the offshoot of Google, and they employ the smartest people of the smartest people to try and figure out where the world is going so that they can build businesses around it to keep the business going. And so he ran it when he was 29 years old. And he was so smart, like he was legendary. He was involved with building rockets and all sorts of shit. His wife would go, oh, I want a new car. He'd spend about 3 or 4 hours, crack the stock market, write an algorithm, do a program, make the cash, give it to her, go back to work again. Like just a brain that operates on another level, right? And super bright, like probably one of the brightest people in the history of our history, like super smart. And his son died when he was in his, I'm going to say his early to mid 20s, and it blew his world apart. And he didn't cope. He lost his job, he lost his marriage, and he fell down a bottle. and he was like, shit. And he was broke down, and he was trying to figure out what the fuck does he do. And he kind of got to a point where he said, and I'm paraphrasing and probably doing a terrible job to this podcast and this person, but it was kind of like the way I read it was like, well, I've got one or two choices. I either continue down the bottle, that's a zero-sum game. We all know where that's going to end, or I use my intelligence and I do something that honors my son. And his decision was to use his intelligence to create the formula for happiness on behalf of his son and to give it to the world. That's how he was going to offer, that was how he was going to make things right. And so he did. And he figured out the formula. And it was, when I got to it, it was shared with over 50 million people. And I looked at it and wow, it blew my mind. It was like, fucking, I've been trying to learn this shit through books and YouTube and conversations and mentors for 30 years. And he summed it up in one formula. You could almost sum the whole thing up in one formula. And what it was, it has 3 steps. The first one is what happened.
Sorry.
Mogawat, M-O,
Yeah.
Jawdat, Gaudat, something like that. You'll see, just put formula for happiness, it'll come up on Google.
Yeah.
Did I spell it right?
JAWDAT, yeah.
What happened?
Self-happy.
And so what happened means is to get out of the story, get out of the burnt pathway, get out of the justifications that you're telling yourself, and get down to what actually happened. So what he was doing is he was caught in the story of how unfair life was, how he had been robbed of the opportunity to be at his son's wedding, to have beers fishing with his son, to see the grandchildren, like it's all been ripped out of his life, and hence the bottle. What actually happened was his son died. That's what happened. So it's a very brutal, fact-based lens. And so then the second part of the algorithm is, what can I do to fix it? And it's phrased in this way for a reason. What can I do to fix it? And so in his case, he couldn't. He's dead, right? But what it does when you follow the formula is it's like once you get out of the story, you have this incredible creative capability with your brain. Have we talked about the RAS, the reticular articulating system? So it's a part of the back of your brain, and neuroscience believes its purpose is to execute your instructions. It's got no sense of morality. It's got no sense of right or wrong. It's just like, do what I've been told to do, manifest it, bring it into reality. So if I'm sitting there thinking I'm a shit cunt, guess what its job is? Absolutely. Let's make that true. I'm going to be super happy. Guess what its job is? Finds ways to do it. I'm going to be positive about how I deal with it. Guess what it does? I feel shit about this. Guess what it does? I hate my life. Guess what it does? It has no, it's like a computer. A computer has no sense of morality or what's right or wrong. So we figure out what happened. Now that my energy has been taken out of the story, it is now, what can I do to fix it? It's like, okay, right, we better figure out how to fix this now. That's a no. It's not going to tell you. You tell it, right? So it starts looking, and then it starts unlocking all the creative capabilities in your brain to find strategies to fix it. You can't get there while you're still in the story. And you'll see this as a leader. You'll see this as a manager all the time. Oh, woe is me, my problems in my life, you don't understand how, it's all true. But it's just a story. And until you get out of the story, you can't fix it. And so what I've done my whole career is try and help people badly. Like I use this now, I just run them through this. I've taught my son this, my daughter this, my top leaders this as well. What happened? Oh yeah, boom. Okay, now let's carry on with the conversation. Because what I'm talking over here, it's just a waste of time and energy. You might get a little bit of a kumbaya and have a bit of a hug and feel better, but the problem will always come back because you never dealt with it at its root. So you've got to do number one, and now you're into what can I do to fix it? Sometimes you can't. And then the third step of the algorithm is, if I can't fix it, how can I learn to live with it? And that has a similar effect. It's like, okay, well, I can't fix it. Now my creativity is right. How do I learn to live with it? Get out of the story. What are ways that I can learn to accept what I've got and still move forward in my life? And so through his process, he got to level 3 and it was, well, actually, I'm going to come up with a formula for happiness and share it with the world. And that's going to be my coping mechanism to learn to live with it. So it's one of the most powerful tools I've ever seen. And it's so simple. We did the comprehension triangle too, right? So and I remember as soon as I saw this, I thought, wow, this is so powerful. Almost no one's going to get it. They're all going to have kumbaya and think they've got it. But they're going to be at the top of the pyramid. Oh, yeah, that sounds really good. But if you play with this, it will blow your mind how profoundly powerful this formula is. It's a wonderful way to get a lot of joy out of life. So these are all the things he was doing wrong. So get out of the story, step 1. These are the things that happened. Now you can move to step 2. How can I fix it? You can only do this via Fiskin Padiskin. Are you guys using that yet? You know, I asked you, are you using any of these techniques and stuff?
What are you doing on the table?
No, not everything.
Huh?
No, Fiskin Padiskin.
Yeah,
The fish.
yeah, that shoots.
No, that's called that's what Fiskin Padiskin means. It's Finnish. Fish on table.
Yeah.
And the reason that's important is because it's the opposite of that, is when you sweep the fish under the rug. And it's the mental image. Because people get it. Imagine a fish that's been swept under the rug 4 weeks later, right? You just, wow, that's quite a powerful image. And that's why the wording is important. I'm starting to have people in my business go, oh, shit, I've got a Fiskin Padiskin, a big fish with this guy. Oh, yes. And it creates a wonderful segue. Segue is like an entrance to something. So this is me leading my guys. You've got a Fiskin Padiskin with it. If you can work through the issues with person X, it's a big challenge, won't be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. There's a high chance they won't pull through. This guy is very blame orientated. They will be a huge asset and become a strong leader because if he does, because he'll be in a unique and authentic position to take others through the same process. There's so much upside. If you can get someone who's not performing to perform, who's gone through a process like this, because when they have to teach the next person, they're teaching from a position of experience. It's not academic anymore. It's one thing to explain to an aspirational smart person these philosophies and have them live and teach them. It's another for someone to live through them and be the change and then live and teach them. To walk to the gates of hell with someone to help them fight their demons and come back victorious builds a culture stronger than anything I know. That's all. It's just authenticity. It's about being authentic. So that was an extract from an email on why you should stick with people, but do it within a framework that is prescribed. Any questions on that one? Cool.
Oh, yes.
All right, so management philosophies. We're going to run through behavior, leadership concepts, self-accountability, core principles, the law of 595, which we've gone through this, haven't we? Go on then, bring it on the table. Fiskin Padiskin it.
It's a good case for
I'm not saying that, but I just think that's what it's.
you resonated that and applied it to the trio, right?
Do you want to talk about it?
I reckon it's a good talk about it.
I'm just gonna trio and it's made up, I feel, with people that no one had hoped for, and there's one person that had hoped for them. They're all nice and strong to be with them.
What's the but?
Yeah, it's- they all reliant. You can
Yeah. Like I really had issues like trying, well, also, it was just whether we bring them on or not because they were relying on this one person and I didn't want this one person to feel responsible for all three of them and I wanted them to take ownership of their own performance at work. Just the way I get with this one person because that one person is not a TM either. Would they be receptive to other people? But yeah, I don't know that if there's been any other issues before we came.
Yeah, there's still what you're saying is there's a group when we did the interviews with the Hutchies team, just to make sure we have the right people. There's a team or trio that kind of came as a package, and everyone's pushed them across. But there's one strong person in there. The other two kind of follow that one strong person. But what she's saying is, we want to become independent of that chemistry.
But they're already in there.
Yeah.
So what's the next step for them?
Is training them to be independent and working on their own merits rather than always go to this one person and go,
Yeah, cool. All right.
this is wrong.
All right.
What do we do now?
Yeah.
And that's a challenge is the team manager are working through how do they manage their staff.
Cool. Do you have any ideas? What are your ideas?
I don't know, for me, I think there's been times where I've asked one of them to do something, and then they'll go back to that person and they'll tell them to do something else and they'll listen to them. So it'll just be,
But they didn't listen to you. Yeah,
it'll
cool.
just be explaining I need them to do this. And I just would just, if they have any, well, I'm open to suggestions. If they would rather do something else instead, like then they can come and talk to me about it. I can, if I think that, if I agree on it, then I'll budge. But if I feel strongly about what I want it to be, then
They have to do
say
it.
it again. But it's just, I guess, having that communication on if they don't want to do something, don't just go off and do something else rather than come in.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your strategy to deal with that?
I think what really I've just been communicating a bit more with them, just trying to get to know them too. I feel like I have a problem that stuff was happening. I think the strongest relationship with them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's just asking them to do something and just following up that they're actually doing it. And if not, then I'll just kind of push them out to where they decide to do more.
Have you Fisk-and-Pediskined the conversation with them? So I got this thing where I ask you to do shit, and I notice you don't. You go and talk to that person, then you do, and that's not really working for me. Have you had that level of conversation yet?
That's what I've been telling you.
Yeah.
Just to
Fisk-and-Pediskin.
if I understand why you're doing this.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I tell you to do something. We've got this plan.
Do you know what I think? What I would love for SCS is to get to the point where we have a conversation to Fisk-and-Pediskin and people go, oh, hey, this is great. Now, the only reason they're going to get there is because I know there's a really supportive process in the background designed for one thing, which is to get a good outcome. Quite often, if I say, hey, can I see you in my office? Right? You feel it, don't you? It's just like it's a completely different segue into problem solving. I don't know the answer. Did I lose you on that one? I don't know the answer other than I'm just going to keep trying to be genuine about it. And I'm starting to notice as I use the language, people are like, oh, yeah, okay, cool, right, what are we doing? Okay, I've got one of those conversations coming up, not, oh, fuck. Do you know what I mean? It's quite, there's something, I don't know, different about the sense around the conversation. Because that's the nirvana, right? Hey, got a problem, can we have, yeah, cool, man. All right, okay, got it, thanks. That's what we want. But we don't, people get upset. Oh, you're picking on me. Oh, you don't understand where I'm coming from. What's that?
on occasion when we would try to bring it up, that's
Yeah, right. So how do we change that? So I don't know the answer other than I just keep being genuine, and eventually people go, oh, okay.
Yeah, probably one of the examples. So we did a fist for discount against one of the team members, just understanding why did you not follow instructions, and she just thought, oh look, I didn't want someone that was older than her to pick this big order.
Oh, so was that a cultural thing?
Oh no,
Was that in a certain
no,
culture?
They just didn't communicate. But yeah, maybe don't know.
So, well, that which is cool, right? That's so wonderful of you. However, if you're not going to follow the instructions, it's really important you come and tell me, and then no problem. We went through the aliens taking over.
Yeah.
It's that thing, right?
Yeah.
They're out there and they're just not feeding back. Well, actually, there's a big ravine here. All your plans are fucked, but I'm not going to tell you. And that chain of command. So how do we get there?
But it's just explaining that, like basically, we sat for it, and just talking about. It would have been like I really love that, that you've got that sense of you didn't want
Care.
to speak.
That's awesome.
If you communicated that back to the team manager, you would have empowered them to make that decision to say, oh wow, I really get that, but it's really important that I need you to do this. So I'm happy for them to make that aware.
Yeah, I love it.
But just not be, that communication, and then this person's realised, oh yeah, I should have said to you, I want to pick this because I think that it's too big for them to pick.
So one of my biggest gripes at SCS has been I want to give instructions, I want them followed. And if I can't do them, I just want to know about it. I'm not going to get angry, I'm not going to upset, I just want to know. And this whole life is like, oh, I didn't want to tell you, I didn't want to upset you, I didn't want somebody else getting in trouble, or all my strategies are falling over because there's been a link that's collapsed.
What's come out of this is, and it blew me away, was just the level of respect that's going on the floor that I never see, or disrespect by them. Like they derogatory terms thrown around on the floor.
With who to who?
Team members against team, two
Oh.
teams, and I was like,
no, that's not good at all. That's not acceptable.
Yeah. So I basically, that was we need to address this straight away because
Fiskin for discount.
Yeah, there's no way in my history where I've ever run a team where we've had that culture where we've been able to call someone up, sackers, or they're swearing at each other or doing fingers on that. No.
Yeah, no. So the process should be, you should be running your performance agreement reviews. You should be identifying that as a gap analysis around respect and communication for teammates, and then you should be putting a strategy around it to make sure that you understand this is what good looks like, this is what's acceptable, this is what isn't acceptable, and then there should be some check-ins. Like maybe you start off daily, then you go weekly, then you go monthly, and then you're okay, we've achieved that. Do we do anything like that?
No, we did. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
So we basically had a meeting the next day after we were doing our DC training. Oh, sorry, our DC training. So we had a big, because Friday was quiet, we had a big session on DC training to get everyone, re-engage with this is what we're supposed to do, this is what we're supposed to look after.
Yeah.
Once you guys sit through this, we'll release the module, which I still have to do this week. And then you guys can certify. And then we know that DCs, you know about DCs, make sure that you follow this. But before that, we spoke about, why are we talking to our staff members? Why are we doing the fingers to our staff members? It's a joke, it's acceptable, and I'm like, yeah, but when's a joke not a joke? It's health and safety. Like, to you, it may be okay, but to others in the team, it's building a culture that's not good looking for anyone that comes on the team. It's not a good look.
Well, I think you've just got, these are not our standards. We get it. It's funny.
100%.
And mate, it was just you and me. This would be awesome, but we've got all of this to worry about.
So that's basically what we said was, I'm going to push the foot down now and say this is not acceptable. Don't do it anymore. A couple of people had their say, and we opened up the floor. But at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, well, it's stopping from now on. We don't want this culture on. And so please don't make any derogatory remarks to anyone or swear maliciously or do things.
What I don't know. This is a fascinating conversation about standards, right? Who sets and maintains the standards? And it's up to us. We are the people that set them. You know how we've got the foreign language policy?
Yeah.
So that fell over completely in US. Long story short, we used to have a beautiful mix of all these different cultures. I shot back a year later, it was 100% Hispanic. And it's like everyone's speaking fucking Mexican. And then a non-speaking Mexican comes in and they're fucking gone in about 3 days. They feel so uncomfortable because they'll be saying, oh, maybe look at them, laugh, and it gets taken out of context, right? Which is why we came up with the policy. But that's our standard. So, look, we're an English-speaking country, we're an English-speaking company. What our standard is that we speak English, especially when there's non-Hispanic people around you. But that's so yeah, and they had all the reasons why they wanted to do it. Oh, it's easier, we get stuff done quicker. Understand it. That's fantastic. It's not our policy. So just is what it is. You said something, Kiana, too, which I think is fantastic. In fact, I had this etched in my brain. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's almost like job number one when you become a good leader. Get to know the person. Who are they? What are their aspirations? What are their goals? What are their dreams? What are their fears? What do they like? What they don't like? What do they think they want to do with their life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Who are their kids? What are their names? When are their birthdays? What sort of issues? And then you connect with them as a human. And then I've always found that's a lot easier to bring them on the journey with me once that connection is made, as opposed to just being a number. But I think you do that anyway. Yeah. Well, it's a good one. I would recommend you get into it. Okay. Human behavior. Right. So this is quite fascinating. Bob Proctor. This was a multi-millionaire. He used to travel around the world and tell people how to be successful. And he had this model.
I'm not sure it's not still.
And what's interesting about this is I came across this nearly 30 years ago. Today, neuroscience is proving it. And that's weird, right? Someone says, oh, this is how I think everything works. And all of a sudden the science goes, yeah, no, this is what it does, but we give it these names. It's almost identical. So I'm going to show you how this works. I find this interesting. I hope you do too. So basically what it says is you're basically a brain with a body and you've got 5 senses, which are
Sight, hearing,
Now,
touch,
taste,
taste,
and hearing. Yep. And so his theory was there were 2 parts of your brain. There was the conscious brain, which is we took all the information in and you processed it. And then there was the subconscious brain, and he kind of designed it like, he kind of talked about it like an iceberg. This is your subconscious mind. It's massive. It's so big it can store all the information in the universe, basically. And so everything in life is a perception. And so it goes into some pretty funky stuff around what is reality. But if you think about it from the time you're born, your world comes through these senses, and then it hits your brain and you do something with it, right? It's kind of like you process it, and you either take it on board, in which case it becomes true, and this then starts becoming part of your belief system, which determines all of your results. And the best example I can think about this, and I remember seeing this with Connor when I was raising him. What a beautiful young kid, and I was thinking, like, I could be in the Middle East, I could raise that same kid, and by 12 I could get him to strap bombs around his chest, walk into a cafe and push a button. Same kid, but the conditioning's different. The information that I'm putting here is different. It's just a piece of clay at that stage, which I've always found mind-blowing, right?
I've always thought of it that way.
It's crazy, eh?
But where you're raised is how your perception of the truth is. Like, they're raised, it's not their fault.
No, absolutely. And the problem is they believe it. Well, and then that raises, that's a judgmental question. Who's right? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we should all be blowing up people in cafes. I don't know. I don't think so. But that's kind of how this was his kind of explanation on human behavior. And there's this process when you get presented with new information. where you analyze it and you ruminate on it, you meditate on it, and you kind of, it goes round and round and round until eventually it becomes your truth, your belief system. And the best example is learning how to drive a car, right? Like, remember how fucking hard that was when you first started? You know, you're bunny hopping and you've got all this fucking shit and you've got to do your indicators, look at your rear vision mirror, and you be, now you don't even think about it. You get in the car, you can't, how did I get here? Fuck, I don't know. Because that's your subconscious mind that's just doing all of that thinking for you. And it has to go that way because you imagine if every minute of every day was like you learning how to drive your car, like you'd just be a mess, right? There's just too much information overload, especially now with social media. It's like a fire hose. Imagine if you just sit there and actually stop and consider and analyze every bit of information that comes through. What the subconscious mind does is it rapidly categorizes. Oh, that's one of those things. Oh, that's an extremist. Oh, that's oh no, they're a Muslim. Oh, that's God, I don't know, whatever. Just categorizes it and poof, allows you to keep moving forward. But it's so dangerous as well. What you allow yourself to think, and it's kind of in here as well what happened, right? This is when you've got this. This is when you're heavily thinking, your stories going around, your voice is telling you. It just starts dropping down here. So as I said nowadays, it's called the RAS. And that's what its job is to, okay, cool, there's my instructions, go and make it happen. And so why is this important? I think it's important because it illustrates what happens when you talk to people, what sort of outcome you're going to get. I think it's really important around what you allow yourself to be subjected to, what you allow yourself to read, what you say you allow yourself to listen to. I mean, you've got, I think it's a good example, you've got a whole lot of disaffected youth in America listen to horrible rap, and they're killing people. And it's kind of the food they're feeding their brains with, and it's getting accepted, and it's creating all these results. So it's a very powerful, dangerous process that's going all the time, which is not a lot of people are aware of. Not a lot of people are challenging what's coming in. They're just accepting it.
What's that process you got there?
Yeah. So the FOR is a frame of reference. So as you get experience with a situation, you've got all this visual input, auditory input, maybe sensory input. It's creating a frame of reference, which you're challenging, and eventually that passes down. And it's like when we went through the pyramid, the comprehension pyramid, all you're doing is you're getting layers of more frames of reference. Your knowledge is expanding through that process. What's interesting here, and this comes back to communication and why communication is often so complicated. So again, use the comprehension pyramid. At all stages, we have different levels around a concept of what's true to us. How to raise a kid, right? You'll start off as a young person and you'll think this is how you raise a kid. You'll have a kid. You'll think, oh, this is how you raise a kid. You'll be a grandparent. You'll watch your kids have kids. No, this is how you should raise your kid. And every single time in your head, you're 100% right. But when you look at your different you're different. Oh, how confusing is that? And so what this is leading towards is when we're having conversations with people, quite often, well, what good looks like is when you can get your frame of references passed directly into someone else's frame of references, so you're all fully aligned. But what tends to happen is this. And this is the point that I need you to be aware of when you're out there having a conversation. You're having a conversation with this person about how they're not following instructions, what's important for the chain of command. You've got a sense of what the truth of that concept is, right? Just because you say it doesn't mean that they've got it. They're listening to you through their experiences, and they're interpreting it based on their frame of references, and they're making their own assessments on it as to what is true, which is why you've got to inspect what you expect. And that's why you can sit there with someone and say, do you get that? And they go, yes, yes, yes. And you come back and they've done something completely fucking different. even though it looks like you're perfectly aligned at that point. What else we got here? This is what shifts behavior. Once you have an established belief system, what shifts it? How do you shift behavior?
Experience.
Yeah. So there's self-actualization. That means you get to be that concept in your reality, and you connect to it. Okay, now I know what this means. Now I know what it means to have a child. Okay, so that's one. Chemicals. Chemicals change behavior. There are 5, I don't think of 4 feel-good chemicals which change behavior. What are they?
4 feel-good chemicals.
Yeah. Oxytocin.
Oxytocin.
That is oxytocin. Serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. So serotonin, in fact, if you suffer from depression, most of the antidepressant drugs are actually excess serotonin. That's what they're doing. They're trying to make up for some sort of imbalance. Dopamine is the reward drug, right? When you've done something and you've achieved something, 100% it is. Yep, you get dopamine from risk. Oh, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Oxytocin is the hugging one, the love one. Oh. When you connect with someone and you give them a hug, even a bro hug, you get this kind of little wash of chemicals. Oh, it felt good. And endorphins is what you get through exercise. And so what can you learn from that in terms of being a leader to change behavior? Give me some ideas. And serotonin isn't one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. MDMA. MDMA releases serotonin. Coke releases serotonin. Yeah, drugs. Yeah. So we don't want to do that.
Can't really do oxytocin either, could you?
Well, yeah, I've always done it. I've always used it. Like I'll always walk up. I ask women now. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But there's something.
Line though, right?
It's the bond. Yeah. We've become very woke. I remember when I started hugging blokes, I was kind of the only bloke that did, although it was quite common in Polynesian culture.
Yeah.
They didn't have the big hang-ups that my Palangi culture had. In fact, my grandfather told me once, hey, you don't hug men, you shake their hands. And the next night I went, okay, good night, Granddad. No, you can hug me. Yeah. But no, it's because it's the bonding. Pregnant mothers are awash with dopamine. They have between them and their child. It's the bonding chemical. So yeah, I think a good hug is.
I also feel that.
Yeah, how you going, boy? I love this place.
Yeah,
I feel good.
Open up and.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're struggling, give them a hug. It does. It literally, you can plot it scientifically. You can see the dopamine flush from the brain through the system. So yeah, no, I think you can. Sorry, that was oxytocin, not dopamine. Sorry. Dopamine. Measurements. It's about achievement.
Yeah.
It's about winning and losing. So let's say you've got a situation with this person and you're not quite getting the result that you want. So you sit down, you're fiskin' pediskin, you have the conversation and say, look, okay, this is the kind of behavior we don't want. You write it down. This is the behavior we do want. You write it down. We're going to check in once a day for the next week. And then we're going to do once a week for the next month. And we're going to do once a month for the next 3 months. And every time we check in, hey, you passed, man. Well done. You nailed it again. Keep up the good work. Boom. dopamine rush. And what it's doing is it's reinforcing the good behavior, which is why measurements are so important. Have I told you the saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it? Yeah. So use that tool as a leader to drive good behavior. Endorphins, gym. Get people into the gym, do a session with them. You feel great after 8 times out of 10, you feel great after a fantastic workout, right? Just sets your brain in the right place, and all of a sudden life's a little bit brighter. Sun's a little bit brighter. The world's a better place to live in. Netball, 100%, absolutely.
Play cricket.
Therapy is a way to change behaviour. And there's therapies like, we talked about what a continuum is, how everything exists on a continuum. I'm going to talk about this here soon too.
I think so,
Yeah. What's a continuum?
It's a line, and you're just traveling along that line.
No. It's like a scale. It's like a scale of severity. So therapy could be, hey dude, you look down, let me have a chat with you, right? Cool, done. That's it. Right? Maybe a quick hug. That's a form of therapy. Some sort of connection to help you through something. Could be very light, could be very deep, because you're so traumatized that the therapy requires years of intensive consultation to help you unpack the issues, develop the strategies. What is it? A mate of mine talks about the circle, the relapse circle. I'll see if I can remember it. Don't care. Almost like, fuck you. I want you to do this thing, I don't care, fuck you. Maybe I can. Change. Seek information to change. How do I change? Start applying change. Be change. Lapse. Either relapse or fall back into be change. So it's kind of like, oh no, sorry, I'm doing this. Yeah, cool enough. So I've fallen over again. So in terms of therapy, sometimes you have to go through the circle 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 times with a person until eventually it sinks in. Other times, maybe once. Some therapy is very light, some therapy is very deep. What I started learning was there was a limit to my therapy. I'd be quite good at it. I could take people with some pretty crazy challenges and create some phenomenal outcomes with them because I had all this knowledge and stuff. And so I'd get my strategies together, I'd wrap it around them, I'd be agreeing to it, we'd be checking in on that sort of stuff. Others I'd go, whoa, no man, this is way out of my depth, this is above my pay grade. I can't help you. So what do you learn from that? Try and understand when you're trying to coach people through, why am I having so much problem with this person following my instructions? Can I coach them through this or not? If there's something deeper under here, this guy's got separation anxiety or something. He just shuts himself off. He doesn't allow himself to even listen to what I'm trying to say. And I think when you get to that level of analysis, it helps you with your decisions. And I've done that with people. I've got, sorry man, I just can't help you. You're better off not here. I can't help you. Another thing that changes behavior is trauma. Severe trauma. Boom. Someone died. They were unhealthy. Happens a lot in my age group. Holy shit. New diet, new exercise regime. Instantly. Been trying to do it for 20 years. Boom. Trauma. Nah, shit. Pretty brutal, but that's what can do it. Competition drives behavior. There's been a really good example of that too, that like the F-45, right? Just swept through the world. All of a sudden, hey?
Yeah.
You didn't love it?
Oh no.
Oh, you are?
I didn't go there.
Oh, you didn't love it.
I used to go with Litchfield, like yes, but
Yeah, I used to go.
Yeah.
I paid for it, but I haven't been. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Expensive as well.
Yeah, but you know, you're competing against yourself, and you've got all these targets, and you've got people in your peer group that you're competing against as well, and it drives you. You take that competition out of it. What have you got? You've got a gym. Right, we're about to, remember I was talking about what we're wanting to do here? So we've ended up with 3 potential options we're going to look at, and every single one of them has some sort of challenge in there where people can sign up to achieve some sort of objective on it. And so it's the world's finally clicked onto, well, that's actually one of the best ways you can get people that don't exercise into exercising, and then different strategies from there. And that's why things like leaderboards are important. Your exactly what was I going to say? Your empowerment boards, right? What did we do yesterday? How come we did that? How can we do that today? What are we doing?
I think I'm sorry. I brought that up with Nico today because I haven't used the empowerment board yet. I don't even know if I have one for inwards, but you chuck your KPIs and all that up there. But I kind of told Nico just this morning I asked him, like, does our team understand what KPIs are? Because there's no point chucking them up for anyone to see if they're not going to understand what it is. Because it's just like there'll be numbers here, but they won't really know if it's good or bad. What it means.
Correct.
So they can kind of help contribute to that. Because I mean, the managers walk past and they'll see it and they'll know that it's our team. So that drives all of that.
Super simple to train that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know, and you get engagement.
You get them to do it.
Yes,
I don't know. It maybe makes them excited to want to get those numbers up.
absolutely. So did I tell you the rock pack story? I must have told you that one. We got it off DHL. They were doing 7 lines per person per hour.
Oh,
You got to 11?
Yeah.
And you got
No,
15?
11 to 13. The jump from 11 to 13 was just numbers. That's all it was. People, what did we do yesterday?
Yeah.
And then you did this one. Just lifts it.
I find because when I was studying, I worked for Coca-Cola on night shift, and they had all of their picks were individually based.
Yeah.
And you would notice if somebody was slacking because they would be at the bottom of the pile, and then they'd see that, and then 15 minutes later they're at the top.
Yeah.
And then you'd have weekly competitions, and then they'd get, I don't know, $50 Coca-Cola voucher where they can buy it off the company, so it's more than just $50 at the dairy or whatever it is.
Love it.
Love
it.
We put our names and stuff into like who picked check pack and all that, but I don't know, it might just be our site, but do we actually have something that we can pull that data from and say, hey, look, James picked 300 orders this week, or
no? And I'll tell you the problem with SCS is our variability. We are mathematically the most complex business I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And we could never get fair representations. I came up with a solution, 12 years ago, and it was called a unit of time. I think I called it a unit of time. I broke 2 PhD students, broke them, trying to explain the complexity and how I just needed to end up with a simple figure.
Yeah.
So you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can do it at a macro level.
Yeah.
So as a team, this is kind of what we're doing. Because the other problem too is because you have an account, and you're not so bad, but a lot of our dispatchers might have 6 or 7 accounts in them.
Yeah.
And they've all got these different profiles. They have different shipment profiles, and the shipment profiles change seasonally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, man, trying to get the math sorted out to track that. I've never found someone smart enough.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do. I've never had the time to do the math. I think I could do it. But yeah, man, you can't. Picking apples, right? Easy. How many apples did you pick today? Well, right, fucking, you were worse than Bob.
Yeah.
But yeah, how many orders did you pick today? What's an order?
Yeah.
And self-actualization. So that is when you start to realize your place in the system, and it's you driving the change, not being led or enticed or driven. It's you doing it because you want to be the change. And to me, that's actually the most powerful. These are the people that, win all the time. They've kind of figured it out. They're our All Blacks. They're our top sports performers. These are our top career professionals. They've gotten over the story that the world owes them a living, and that they had a terrible childhood, and they had a terrible education, and they brought up in the wrong country, and they didn't get the right opportunities. And they've gone, oh, fuck, actually, it's all about me. If it's to be, it's up to me. And it is, I think it's the hardest realization in life. And I think most people go through it never having it, which I think is a shame. I also think it's a shame they don't teach this shit at school. That always does my head in too.
It's off the screen.
All right. How are we going for time?
Just under,
We're half an hour?
25, half an hour.
Yeah, cool. We should be right. So concepts, we're talking about leadership, teams, systems, and culture. So let's just talk very quickly about the pyramid and the 3 squares. What does that mean? What's the relevancy of it? It's the comprehension pyramid is what it's representing. And the squares are everyone's at a different level when we talk about these things. Even when I'm talking about it, I'm saying stuff out of my head. It's going out into the room. It's going through your ears. It's getting into your brain. You're all thinking about it slightly differently. Some a little bit differently, some a lot differently. And I want you to understand that process is going on 24/7. It's always there in the background. When someone doesn't get something, it's not because they're dumb or they're thick or they're whatever. Yeah, they're just processing it differently. So then if you start writing about that, now you're in a chart, you've got a chance to try and get them aligned. But not a lot of managers do. But I find it fascinating, and I hope you do too. So first one we're going to talk about is leadership. Okay, so we talked about the different styles of leadership: dictate, lead from the back, lead from the side, lead from the front.
Yeah.
Cool. So when I did this, it was an analysis. The background of this, GE started going pear-shaped. And I said, dude, nothing's black and white. Everything's complex on a continuum. A little bit of complexity, huge amount of complexity. What I was trying to get Simon to understand is there's all these different types of leadership that he can be having with his people and his people can be having with his people. And if you don't know what they are, how do you fix it? If someone's stuck at leading from the back, how do you teach them to lead from the side, the front, and get to dictate if you don't know where they are? How do you do that? I don't know. So you've got to kind of understand these concepts first. And so, what over here? Style, no, source.
So if somebody struggles to do like leading from the back, do you like, because I've written down here, I like to dictate, you need to work through the other 3 leadership styles before getting there.
Did we talk about the 2 types of dictate?
Yeah.
We did?
We did it.
You do it because I said to do it all. Hey, this is what we want to achieve. Here's what I need you to do. Let's get it done.
Yeah, and they're all on board. They're drinking the cordial. They're executing. Okay, good. What was your question?
If you can't, like, for instance, if you struggle to lead from the back, but you can lead from the front and to the side, is it a matter of like training that leader how to lead from the back, or do you think you like can't then move into the dictate side of things?
You can't get to the proper dictator until you've got all the other leadership
so
styles
it's
sorted.
just a training that side of things.
You have to. How do you teach someone to lead from the back if they can't? What could you do?
I would probably start with showing them. Yeah, like they can.
So you would lead by the side to teach them
Yeah.
how to lead from the back?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Then what would you do?
Maybe see if they can what you've done back to you, sort of thing.
Cool.
Like see if they understand what you've actually done.
Yeah, what did I do there?
Yeah.
Explain it to me?
Yeah.
Nice challenge. Then what?
And then get them to maybe try it, see if they get it done or need some retraining or something.
How will you do that?
Yeah.
How? I'm asking you. How would you get them to try it?
To train someone else to lead from the back.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Best way to learn something is to train it.
Yeah.
What I would do, I would try and spend time with them and observe how they interact with their team. And then I'd give them feedback. So, hey, you know how you did that, and you kind of told them what to do. If you were to lead from the back in that situation, what would have you done differently?
Yeah.
And get them thinking about it. It's kind of like you're trying to vie for their concentration. Like there's so many things competing with concentration. You need them to concentrate on this challenge. And another technique I would use, I would say, okay, well, I want you to come back to me at the end of the week and give me 3 examples where you led from the back. And they're just thinking about it again. Oh, look, I normally would tell this person what to do because I knew the answer, but this time I asked them to figure out and tell me what they thought the answer was, and I guided them to it. Cool. What did I want here? Style. Civi Army. This was the difference between...
Can you share that?
yeah.
Are you allowed to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I need to give you this presentation so you can save it in your
Yeah, I think it would
cadetship.
definitely help. Like, are we able to share it with other managers?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all SCSIP.
Yeah, good.
Uh,
I think it'll be handy for
No, definitely.
definitely handy for Aaron. Because he was who I was thinking of when I was talking about those leadership styles. He's amazing from leading from the front. Very good for leading from the back, but he struggles with the leading from the side.
cool. So you would identify that in his PAR under his leadership section, and then you would wrap some strategies around like we talked about.
Yeah.
You'd do it, they'd do it side by side, give you examples, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Concepts. I've forgotten. I can't talk to that. I forgot what it was. Another style of leadership. Let's talk. This was dictate. So you've got this army style dictate down here. We just execute. Right. Here's our mission objective. We execute. And you've got the civilian style of leadership, which is hard. Everyone's kind of pulling in different directions. They've got their own ideas on what they think's right and what's wrong and stuff. This is where you need to move them towards. You've got to become army disciplined.
So do you find that like the higher up you go in leadership, the closer you're getting to the army discipline? Yeah.
And you have to.
Yeah, you
The
have
closer you have to get to army discipline.
So, yeah, put in case that example we talked about earlier about them doing whatever actions they want to do with the team environment. Not
No.
Yeah.
No. That's civvy. That's what do you call it? What are the guys with the pitchforks? The militia.
Yeah.
Right. Who do you want to go to war with? Do you want the SAS or do you want the militia? Do you know what a militia is? It's a whole lot of farmers who are upset, and so they get all their pitchforks and they go to war and they get slaughtered. It's like yeah. They're just well-intentioned people fighting highly skilled opposition.
Green stuff. Yeah. My stomach's not too well, but I'm going to try.
Oh, cool. Well, rice is normally pretty good.
Yeah.
So
No.
I remember this one here, source. Do you insource the work or you outsource the work? A lot of leaders want to outsource the work, and a really good example of that is HR. They don't want to know about it. Just call the HR person. Inventory management. Just get the inventory management person taken on. I think it's terrible. You've got to know, you should insource the knowledge. Once you get to the point where you're brilliant at it, then you can outsource. Because then you know what good looks like when you get the response back from your outsourced partner.
True.
Can't remember the other two. Okay, systems. I think we've talked about this. These are the types of systems: manual systems, pull systems, automatic systems, and push systems. So the best ones are always push systems. How come?
They're measured right there.
It's just pushing it all.
It's coming to you. So like you're in charge of learners or something, you should just be able to walk past and see what all your metrics were. It's been pushed. You've got all your minions running around collecting the data. But that's great for them too, because they get to touch the data. They're in there understanding where the numbers get generated from, so they feel connected to the business that way. You've now got your data insight, your data points, and you can start making intelligent decisions based on it, asking the right sort of questions. If you have to go and pull the information, there's a high chance you won't do it because you're busy and it takes time to do it. And you should obviously try and automate as much as you can. It's just good business practice.
Do you know what you're talking about here, though, in this chart?
Yeah, well, that's kind of systems. You start off manual, you've got to migrate to push.
Yeah.
Just as you start off to dictate. So that's newbie, that's professional. So you're working down through that. This is where you want to end up. So something about systems here. This was something I was trying to explain. Again, these are the continuums, all these bars.
Yeah.
So systems range from low complexity to very high complexity. And so if you were to look at a system of, say, your right product, right location, RPRL, have we talked about that? Name change?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from location audits.
Yeah.
So you would look at the complexity of that system and say, oh, it's probably
Closer to low, right?
yeah, closer to low. Components, integration. Is it lots of different components, or have you been able to integrate them? That's a reasonably split process at the moment. So your components are, you've got a report of where you have to go and check your quality of your inventory. So go to this location, make sure that this is in there. You've got a process where someone's got to probably manually take that report and start writing stuff into it. You've got a process where someone's got to manually go, okay, well, that goes into my lost and found. That goes into my stock investigation book. You've got a system where someone then has to manage the stock investigation and then go through a manual system of 14 steps of investigation. So quite a non-integrated, lots of components. The ideal would be, if you're looking at systems design, you'd have maybe a PDA that says, go along to this location, have a look at it, boomfa. Okay, do you want that into FIME? Yes, I do, boom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A fully integrated system that's taking all those processes and you're in one place. Or it's dropping it directly into the SIB. And maybe that flashes up in front of Arun, and he goes, I've got my investigation to do, and it's already done, the find me step.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, it's already over there, tick done. Right? That's a slick system.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we've got reasonably low complexity and lots of components, and it's quite manual. Good.
Out of interest, is that something that it is or would be in the pipeline?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact,
That would save a lot of time.
I know. But someone's got to think about it.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be sitting there looking at our systems, and you've got heaps in your inwards as well, right? There's heaps of systems that you've got going, okay, where does this fit here? Is it manual? Am I pulling information? Is it automated, or am I getting stuff pushed? Is it low complexity, high complexity? Is it highly integrated or not? And if it's not, right, how do we improve that? Someone's got to do that thinking.
I still can't believe that they don't do placement kits.
It doesn't.
You mean a reverse count on a put?
Yeah. Just because of the logic that because you're scanning it,
You're there.
Placement kit, you'll scan it why do it.
Hold on. So a reverse count is, I've got an item, my system tells me to go to put in A111. I go to A111. While it's there, it asks me to count what's already in there. It's a reverse count. So you count down and then you do the put. So you've done two processes in one system. It's not that one? Okay.
No, just the fact that when I bought up, when I bought up placement checking, they said the business doesn't do it anymore because
we do it.
Oh, yeah, I heard it doesn't anymore because they've got paperless inwards now.
Yeah, and that was the theory behind it, and they did a study behind it. It cost us much to do it, and so they've done away with it.
So we still do it.
Yeah.
Just purely from so we're in the process of IT and Samir anyway, giving us new scanners, because the old scanners would be like the the laser would be a circle, let's just say. But the circle was big enough to potentially cover multiple scans.
Yeah, right. Barcodes.
So when the guys are on the bendy, obviously, they're putting it away, they're scanning B1111. It was scanning B113. Not their fault.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Well, we started off years ago with line scanners.
Yeah. So now they're coming back through. So I don't know at what point that
The
changed.
bendy
but-
is the biggest part of the reason why you need to do placement checks.
Yeah.
You, obviously, as you go through a quick, it's not there because it's scanned the wrong
Yeah,
location.
yeah. And it's not at the fault of the bendy driver. Because
Sometimes.
it could be, you're correct. But like when you have the laser pointer, if they then scan it in the wrong location, you know.
So that's why you're doing it. So you're still doing the placement check.
Yeah, not on everything. Trade test is one of the bigger ones just because of the volume.
Yeah.
It's just too hard to play catch up if you then find something the next day that's
Oh.
not in the right location.
God, yeah.
The smaller
Interesting.
accounts where we're not having to just because we don't need to. But trade tested that like every container is.
And are you doing placement checks?
We have to. It's because it's the stock rotation.
Because
You scan it wrong, someone goes to pick it, then it comes in this.
oh right,
We know
yeah,
that.
okay, cool.
I see.
Because
wanna
it
minimize-
has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
Pretty much once you get to the last iteration,
So how do you do the placement check?
go and find it.
What's that process?
So they'll complete their put away.
Yep.
It'll then flow into Colossus, and then we just print placement check out of there before we finalize it.
There's a placement check button or something,
Yeah,
is
it
there,
just prints out every location that has been put away.
for that shipment? Oh, at the end of the receipt.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually,
So trade tested, I think, is the only client we've got that's not auto finalized because of that step.
right.
Every other client, because they're small enough that, in relation to trade tested, that we cover off any potential discrepancies as and when.
Yeah.
The trade tested compared to everything else is like, if you're looking at it, astronomical rather than, one or two maybe.
Yeah.
But still, trade tested.
So that's a materiality issue. Have we talked about materiality? Okay, so material. Here's a new word for you: materiality threshold. And so this was the foundation of ullage. So in our service level agreement, we have this concept called ullage, which is something I came up with about 20 years ago. And it was off the back of this concept called materiality threshold, which is an accounting term. And accountants use it. And the way that it was described to me is at the end of the year, they balance the books. So they make sure that all the transactions, all the ins and outs, all the adjustments, everything in and out of the bank account, all the invoices, the credits, blah, 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 they match. Now, they almost never do. But then there's this thing like, okay, well, how much are we out by? And let's say it's $2,000. Now, we know we can find the $2,000, but it could cost me $8,000 in time to get there. So that doesn't pass it's not material. It's not worth my while spending $8,000 to find $2,000.
Yeah.
So that's a materiality threshold. So I took that concept and I brought it into SCS and I just called it ullage. So same sort of thing. There's a point at which it doesn't actually make any sense to become more accurate.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that story with TNT? I was part of a task force back in the late 90s, and we were turning over, I want to say, 2 billion globally, and we had like a 96 on-time delivery standard. So if you gave me something here, 96% chance it would end up where it needed to in the world within the time frame I'd given to you. And anyway, the exercise was, well, what do we have to do to get to 97%? How do we get ahead of DHL? Because they were about the same sort of thing. And by the time the whole exercise was finished, we decided we needed to basically double our infrastructure and find another $2 billion to get a 1% increase in accuracy. That's how it kind of works. It's like a exponential curve. Your cost for cost and accuracy. And so you get to a point you go, well, okay,
too expensive to gain.
it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I could get you, and like another good example at SCS, we sell 3 different SLA services. We have our standard, which is 99.7%, which is the highest in the market. Then we have 100%, and if we fail to get 100%, then we will pay the difference between 99.7 and 100%. And so let's say that was $10,000, then we would pay the $10,000. But, and the quid pro quo is, you don't get the same rates. We add on what's called an insurance fee, where we have to act as what's called an insurance actuary. And an actuary is a person that sits in an insurance company with a calculator and a spreadsheet, and has got a brain the size of fucking Texas, and he sits there and, right, what's my risk? What are the chances that that house will burn down? Right, cool, right. Based on that, here's your premium, right? So they've got to try and understand what the commercial risk is. At SCS, when we charge for something, we don't discriminate against the value. We charge you $1 to pick that. I don't care if you sell that for $1,000 or $1. We don't discriminate. As an actuary, we go, well, shit, if we lose that, what's it worth? Well, if it's worth $1, this is going to be our fee. If it's worth 1,000, shit, now my fee is going to be this. And it becomes a percentage that we add on top of the fee. We've only got one client that we do it for, somewhere in Timberley, can't remember. And the third one is 100% cover. And we do the same sort of thing. We take the rate tariff and we put it in the bin, and we go, all right, what do I need to do to never make a mistake on this account? And we do it for one of the accounts that we do, that Class A drug for ketamine, right? And so we have 3 people checking that, including 2 supervisors. Right? So the cost goes 3 times as much. Why did I say all that? Materiality threshold, right? And so, yeah, it's just, for most people, it's not worth it. They're just, right, okay, well, I'm happy with 99.7%. All right, so there's a systems one. Was it concepts? This is a sense of team. So do you want your people doing it for you, or do you work for them?
I don't know. I've always led with a bit of both.
But I think the ultimate is when you work for them. I think they feel it, they know it.
So you're basically giving them everything they need, and you're in there.
Yeah, you're there for them.
I think I find that, like, the reason I said a bit of both is, like, I feel like
there's always a bit of both.
Yeah.
And there's no,
if you're for them 99.8% of the time, that 0.2% where you go, look, I really need this for me, they'll go, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, 100, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'll get more loyalty, more culture when your people realize that you are there for them to support you, rather than, hey, this is a job and you work for me and get the stuff done.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the first level of dictate. Here's an interesting one. Do you give them what they want, or do you give them what they need? Do you give your team what they want, or do you give them what they need? This is a really interesting concept, this one.
No, I'd gravitate towards me, but
Yeah.
I think, again, it's a bit of both.
Yeah. It is a bit of both, but I think ideally you give people what they need. It's like children.
Yeah.
But children want to stay up till midnight and eat lollies. That's what they want to do. What they need to do is go to bed at 8 o'clock and get a full night's sleep. And staff are very much the same as well. They want to go home early. They don't want to have to pick up the rubbish off the floor. They don't want to have to, exactly, yeah. But then, correct. And it's hard too, because that's kind of like the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And no one wants to be the bad guy.
But you've got to get a job done. So it's like,
Yeah, you do.
We've got to get done. Like, we can rotate, but the job needs to get done. Today you work.
Yep. Culture. 2 types of cultures you can build in a team. You can have this survival of the fittest, which is nature's one. It's very gladiatorial. You kill each other to get ahead. I found this a lot in business. Business is very cutthroat. You claw your way to the top. It's very political. The one I prefer is the Semper Fi, which is the US Marines, leave no man behind.
Suits versus what? Suits as in corporate? Or
Yeah. Respect.
Suits?
Can't remember. Respect. Oh, yeah, notice. You respect everybody. When it suits you.
Everyone,
Yeah. And so I had this with Simo. I was trying to explain where his culture was falling over. He was trying to build a culture of survival of the fittest. He only wanted the best, but he created a dog-eat-dog environment, and it became very political. And then it created a lot of toxicity, and he was only providing respect to people when it suited him. Yeah, and I said, mate, and I actually drew him the picture, and I said, you're about here, and you're sitting around here. It's not going to get you what you need. And I was hoping the diagram would help him visualize it. Didn't, sadly. Yeah, that's all right. It's just life. So this is what it looks like when you're disagreeing with someone. You're not aligned with your frames of reference. And this was my illustration of where GE got to. And this was back in Glass Elephant. It was a digital agency I built with Simo. And so I stepped out in June last year because we were starting to butt heads, and he was telling me he was at least as smart as me. And so I said, all right, well, here's where I reckon you're at. Slideshow.
Got to deliver and make that call.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I said, this is like, it's complex. Business is really complex. So I was saying, this is where I'm rating you. Your systems are manual. You've got low complexity, lots of components. You're running a team that's for you. You're giving them what they want. And like part of this one, here's a real tough one too. Part of his one was work from home. I say, you are fucking this up. You're letting your people work from home. Oh no, but that's what they want. You don't understand, Brad. You're too old. No, this is the new world order and stuff. I said, no, you're not building culture. You're not in the trenches fighting alongside one another, building camaraderie. You're trying to imagine. I explained to him. I said, imagine you're in the All Blacks. No one has to come to training anymore. We're just going to meet everybody online. It just doesn't work. I couldn't get this concept on. You've got the survival of the fittest thing going. You're getting respect where it suits you. You're dictating, but you haven't built the culture in behind here. Your standards are low. You're not setting really high standards, but you're selling the dream. And so that was the conflict there as well. You're running it like an army. You're giving what they want. Oh, hold on, no. This is where he is. This is where he needs to be. Sorry, it's been one time to do this. I needed him to move to here.
That looks like where you want him to be.
Yeah, I think this is where he was. This is more where I wanted him to get to. Why did I leave that up there? You need to improve his respect, bring up his standards, start leading from the front, find a balance in the middle here, start moving down. Where's the other one? That's the other one. Oh, sorry. This is where I needed him to get to. Oh, this is where we started. Sorry. This is where we started. This is where he was getting to when we started butting our heads, but this is where he needed to get to. Those are the major changes I needed him to understand. He needed to get into. And I said, you do that, will be fantastic. And he didn't. He destroyed the company. But that's how complex it is. Like, it's not easy. Like, do this one thing and you're okay. You've got all these different variables that you've got to manage at the same time. And that's why great managers are really hard to find. This is the kind of shit that great managers a lot of them do it intuitively. The idea here is I'll give you some foundational knowledge that you can start studying and then apply it in your real world and kind of see where you're at. All right. What else? These were the key issues. I said if you only focus on these three, you'll be good. And I think that was it. Yeah, cool. That was it. So, there endeth the lesson.
Can you share that with us too?
Yeah. No, cool. So share.
You guys start your logo.
I do. You
So as obviously say what you can, but like obviously G was a big part of what you were offering to like new clients and all that sort of stuff. Like where do you go from that side of things? Is it something that you then outsource or?
So the vision there, the business strategy was have this thing called the Magnitude Group, which was basically a digital agency and a global 3PL.
Yeah.
And had internal brands. This was the vision I set in 2019. And so with the digital agency, we're going to have a whole lot of customers. And with the internal brands, we were going to become the customer.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and for the 3PL, I was going to roll out a global 3PL network. So I rolled out the global 3PL network. I'm about to start my second internal brand. So I've got one where I sell skincare up in the UK and Canada, which I'm now rolling out to New Zealand, Australia, US this year. And we're about to launch a face paint business.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think is going to be hugely successful. And the digital agency was supposed to be in the market selling digital stuff, but also supporting the internal brands. So with that did, basically I've kind of got a new idea, or I'm calling it a global ambassador. I'm going to plug into all of these digital training courses around the world in the territories we train in, and we're going to take that IP and plug it back into the internal brand. Okay. That's the pivot that I made on that business model.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. It's good fun. Who wants to run through this? We did run through it, eh?
Yeah.
Laura 595?
First lesson.
Yeah, right, perfect.
That's the first lesson.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to have massive posters about the size of one of these whiteboards on each one of those now. In every facility, we'll probably put them on the end of aisles. What I want to do is I want us to be able to have a conversation with this person and say, hey, look, how have you achieved excellence? We gave you that. So we've done everything. So now it's up to you to execute and get great outcomes. Or you're not. Always a problem. What's back here? Right? You've got to invest your time and energy learning to be the best you can be. So then we're going to wrap around a strategy for you, and then we're going to execute that to get you there. I want it to get to the point where there's no excuses. What I learned early in my career, I kind of stumbled across it. When you remove all the excuses from an employee, you always end up with one of two results. They walk out the door, they level up. You always end up there. But once you've got excuses, you get caught in this washing machine. I've got an SLT member at the moment. It's about to walk out the door. I've taken away all that person's excuses. I've gone, shit, I've actually got to do this work now. Bugger. So I know that I've got a resignation coming through today. Yeah, I know, no, it's awesome. It's great. And because the other thing I found when I use this philosophy, I've never had a PG. Because no one can come to me and say, but you didn't do this, you didn't get the training, you didn't get the opportunity, you didn't get the supports, you didn't get the forms, you didn't get the something like that. It's all there. I've done everything. And it just becomes a natural progression. So now my opportunity is to bring someone into the role that's more fit for purpose. The person was employed above, it shouldn't have been employed in the first place. But that's what I want these for. And so this one's a critical one, because these are the conversations I want happening all the time. I want us talking to our people, saying, hey, look, are we going to fisk and disc in this? And the reason I've got these as pills, it's like the Matrix. You know the Matrix? Do you want to go down the room? It's purple, right. Which pill are you going to munch on? Do you want to fisk and disc in it, or do you want to tuck it under the table? Because this is what's going to happen if you keep going down here. It's going to affect your reputation, your career, and your income. One of the things I've never quite got my head around is a lot of people think by going down here that I don't know. I find it quite bizarre. I don't get my head around it. Like, I know so much. I get told so much shit. Like most of what I keep it to myself. I act on what I want to. But people do stuff that's not right in this company. I find out about it almost always eventually, and it affects that. No, I'm not going to give them that opportunity. Hell no. No, I don't want them promoted. No, fuck, look what they did. There's absolutely no way. But because a lot of people aren't fisting for disking, they never get to learn. If I come up, this is another weird thing. Make it this what you will. When I come up to someone and I have a hard conversation with them, it's because I really care about them. I know it's going to upset them. I hate it. Best thing, did I tell you this? I learned this. I've got something that's hard for me to say. It's going to be hard for you to hear. Did I teach you that one? It's a wonderful way to have a fisting for disking conversation. Hey, I've got something that's really hard for me to say. It's probably going to be hard for you to hear. It's just kind of like, okay, door's open, now I can walk through. And that's because I really care about the person. I mean, some of my hardest conversations with my children were horrible conversations, right? But I love my kids so much. I had to have a conversation with them. I didn't want them continuing down that path. So yeah, big posters. Where do you want to be, man? Hey, you know what you did there? Which pill did you swallow? Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I did the sincerity one. All right, well, what would you do differently next time? My theory is, I've had a lot of people, lots of you been part of it since I started, like the knowledge isn't that new, but it's been buried in a document that's been studied and then probably forgotten. So I want to shout it loud and proud. I want it visible around the facility so that we can start having the kind of conversations we need to help our people.
I think it'll, in all honesty, I think it'll make the conversations easier.
Yeah, right. I'm hoping.
Like, because they don't really have a leg to stand on.
No.
Like, in terms of like, this is what you're doing, this is what we expect, or whatever. Like, they can just go, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
That's cool. The thing I find too is like, on the other side of every hard conversation out here, there's always a better result. Every single fucking time. There's never not. Even if they leave, it's a better result for everybody. They get to do something outside of what they were enjoying. We get someone who desperately wants an opportunity to be part of something like everyone wins. That's like one of my lessons earlier today was wins enough. Get that prescriptive list. Use that as your Northern Star. Okay, well, that's enough. Boom, move on. You'll be my age before you know it. Like fucking crazy how quick it goes. So you've got this
Just you.
tiny amount of time. I'm picking on you because you're the youngest. And it just like life just looks like it goes on forever at your age. I know, right? It's like fucking what? And so it's like when you understand that, that's why they say they wish you'd put an old head on young shoulders. Because when you realise these sort of things, all of a sudden the way you look at life changes, your behaviour changes. Instead of sitting down watching the Kardashians, you're off upskilling because it's going to open opportunities to do cool stuff. I've got my son at the moment. He rang me and said, I just had the best day of my life yesterday. What would you do? Skiing. I did a double black, and he's just become passionate about it. But it's like, well, you've earned that. He's been working his ass off to earn the money to go and have that experience out in nature, jumping off a fucking cliff and living to tell the story. And just his life just went, whoa! You know what I mean? But it's like making those decisions. Life's really super, super precious and fast. So, that's where we're heading.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
Good sesh.
Thank you so much.
I will send this off to you. I'll stop recording this.